Alright, this video is going to go over right triangles and SOHCAHTOA, and it's going to help you with worksheet 7.1. The first thing I want to review are the parts of a right triangle. If my right angle is in the corner, the side opposite that is called the hypotenuse, and the two sides over here are called the legs. You can label these A, B, and C. It's usually how they're labeled. Or you can flip the legs to be B here and A here, but we usually use C for the hypotenuse. In order to find any side of a right triangle, if you have two sides, you can use the equation C squared equals A squared plus B squared. We also know that the sum of all the angles of a triangle are 180 degrees. Another way to find angles or sides of a right triangle is to use SOHCAHTOA. Sine stands for opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over the hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. And over here are my reciprocals. Cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. Secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. And cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So we're going to use these properties that you learned in geometry to complete worksheet 7.1. On this worksheet, we're also going to be using our calculator, so let's go over a couple things. Every time we're doing triangles, this unit is all about triangles. Anytime we're looking for an angle, the angles will always be in degrees. So we need to go ahead and go to our mode in our calculator. We're going to go down here to where it says radians. I'm going to click to the right, and I'm going to hit enter on the word degree so that it's blinking. And now I'm going to quit second mode. Alright, so my calculator is in degree mode, something very important. So on 9 through 17 on this section, the directions say find the exact value of the 6 trig functions of angle theta in each figure. Because they say exact value, these are going to be my XYR problems or my A squared plus B squared equals C squared problems. So right here for sine, I know that sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. And it's the opposite over the hypotenuse of this angle because everything has to do with theta. Well, I know the side opposite of theta is 5, but I don't know this side over here, my hypotenuse. In order to find the hypotenuse, we're going to do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Again, it doesn't matter which one of these I call A or B right now. I'm going to label this one A. So 25 plus 144 equals C squared. So C squared equals 169, and the square root of 169 is 13. Okay, so now I can go do my opposite over the hypotenuse. So opposite theta is 5, the hypotenuse is 13. Because they want the exact value and not a decimal, I'm done. For cosine, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is the side that is next to theta, so 12 over 13. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, so I'm going to go opposite theta, 5, adjacent 12. 5 over 12. To get all the reciprocals, I just take these 3 answers and I flip them. So I get 13 over 5, 13 over 12, and 12 over 5. And those are done. That's how easy those are. So tomorrow in class, I'm going to ask you to do 11 and 13. I'm going to also go do 17 with you so you have an example that's a little bit harder. So on 17, we'll see that my thetas are over here in this corner. And again, they're asking me for sine, so I know sine is opposite over the hypotenuse. Opposite theta is 1, and the hypotenuse is 5. So 1 over root 5. And by now we know that that's trashy math. So I'm going to come over here to this side. I'm going to fix my trashy math. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by root 5, and I get root 5 over 5. Okay, that one's done. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and I'm seeing, oh, I don't have adjacent, so I have to go find it. So I have to use my formula again. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Well, I have my a squared, it's 1, so 1 squared is 1. I don't know what b squared is, I don't know this side, equals c squared. The square root of 5 squared is 5. I subtract 1, so b squared equals 4, so b equals 2. So this side over here is 2. Now I can go do theta. Cosine of theta is the adjacent 2 over the hypotenuse. I have bad math manners again, so I'm going to have to fix it again. So I'll do that down here. We're going to have 2 over root 5, multiply top and bottom by root 5, and we get 2 root 5 over 5. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. The opposite side to theta is 1. The adjacent side is 2. So sine is root 5 over 5. Cosine is 2 root 5 over 5. And tangent is 1 over 2. When I come over here, I have to flip everything. But when I do my flip, I'm going to look at these first answers so that I don't have to fix bad math manners again. So I'm going to go flip 1 over root 5 to be root 5 over 1, which is just root 5. I'm going to go flip 2 over root 5 to be root 5 over 2. I'm going to go flip 1 over 2 to be 2 over 1, which is just 2. So tomorrow, when you're doing 11 and 13, you're going to do these exact same steps. All right, let's go look at the next section. On 29 through 41, the directions say, in problems 29 through 41, use the right triangle shown, then using the given information, solve the triangle. When it asks you to solve the triangle, they want you to find all the missing sides and all the missing angles. So every time I do one of these problems, I go redraw this triangle. I'm going to go redraw this triangle right here below it, and I'm going to label everything that they gave me in the problem. So they told me that B is equal to 5, and that beta is over here in this corner, is 20 degrees. I know it's a right triangle, so I know this angle is 90. So the easiest thing to do in these problems is to figure out your missing angle first. This is my missing angle. This is alpha. I know that 180 degrees has to add up in here. Right now, I know that I have 90 plus 20, so I have 110 degrees. I have to have 180 total, so I subtract the 2, and I know this missing angle up here is 70 degrees. So I can go ahead and fill that in. And that's usually what I do first, because that's the simplest thing to do. Now what I have to do is I have to go find these two missing sides. I have to go find A and C. To find the A and the C, I'm going to use my SOHCAHTOA. I always use the angle that they gave me to be my theta. So I'm going to use the angle they gave me. This is going to be my theta for the problem. So as I'm working this problem, trying to find my missing sides, I'm going to continually use 20 degrees. All right, so if I want to find this side here, A, I right now have opposite, and this would be the adjacent to 20. So opposite over adjacent would be tangent. So tangent of 20 degrees equals 5 over A. Tangent means opposite over adjacent. So tangent of 20 degrees equals 5 over A. In order to get the A from the bottom, I have to go multiply both sides by A. So I'm going to go multiply both sides by A. That gives me A times tangent of 20 degrees equals 5. So A times tangent, to get A by itself, I'm going to divide by tangent. So A is going to equal 5 divided by tangent of 20 degrees. And that's what I'm going to type in my calculator. 5 divided by tangent of 20 degrees. 13.7, we're going to round two numbers after the decimal, so 13.74. So side A is 13.74. To get side C, you can either go do another trig, SOHCAHTOA, or you can do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's really up to you. I'll go do probably the what you like the best. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I'm going to come over here to the side, and I'm going to write 13.74 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. And then I'm going to go to my calculator. 13.74 squared plus 5 squared equals, and then I have to take the square root of that. So I'm going to hit second x squared, 213.7876. And we get 14.62. Okay, and that's how you do a problem like 29. 31 is going to be the same type of problem, so I'm going to let you try that one tomorrow in class. Let's go look at 33. It's pretty similar. So I'm going to start off the same way. I'm going to go redraw my triangle. And you might need scratch paper when you're doing these problems. This might not be enough room for you. And I'm going to go label what they gave me. They gave me B was equal to 4. They did not give me C. They did not give me A. This time they gave me alpha. They gave me this angle up top. And I need to go find my missing angle here and my two missing sides. So remember we said it's supposed to be 180 degrees on the inside. Right now I have 90, my right angle, plus 10, and that gives me 100. So missing down here, 180 minus 100 is 80 degrees. So my beta is 80 degrees. I'm going to use 10 degrees to be my theta to go find my two missing sides. So to find side A is opposite, B is adjacent. So I'm doing tangent again. So I'm going to have tangent of 10 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. This time my adjacent is here. To get A by itself, I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator, multiply both sides by 4. So we have 4 times tangent of 10 degrees equals A. So let's go type that in my calculator. That's all I have to do. 4 times tangent of 10 degrees. So it's going to be this is for side A, 0.71. And then again, 0.71. To go find C, I can just do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I'll do that over here on the side. There's my scratch work. We're going to 0.71 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. Then I go to my calculator. 0.71 squared plus 4 squared equals, and then I have to square root that, square root of 16.5041. And we get 4.06. Okay, so that's how you do 29 and 33. Let's flip it over and go look at number 39. So on problem number 39, they give me two sides, and that's all they give me. I have to find everything else. They don't give me any room right here to do 39, so I'm going to draw my triangle on a separate sheet of paper. And if you do this, make sure you're attaching it to the back of your worksheet. All right, so on 39, it's the same triangle that we're using on the front of the worksheet. It doesn't change. They gave me side B as 3. They give me A equals 5, and I know it's a right triangle. The first thing I'm going to go find, the easiest thing to find on this one, is to go find my C. So I'm going to go do my A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So 5 squared plus 3 squared equals C squared. I'm going to go to my calculator, and we're going to have 5 squared plus 3 squared. Then I'm going to take the square root of 34, and we're going to get 5.83. So that's not a big deal. That you should be really good at. So 5.83. Now I'm going to go find my two missing angles. Now they have an angle called alpha and an angle called beta. Alpha is always opposite of where your A is. So if my A is here, this is my alpha. Okay? So I'll notice right here that alpha, I have two sides to alpha. I have an opposite side and an adjacent side. Because I said opposite over adjacent, you should be thinking tangent. So tangent of alpha equals opposite over adjacent. In order to find an angle using your calculator, you have to remember to hit the second tangent key. So you're going to hit second tangent, and then we're going to type in 5 divided by 3. We're going to find out that alpha is 59.04 degrees. To find the missing angle, we're going to remember that I need 180 degrees total. So I have a 90 degrees already, plus the 59.04. So 180 minus 149.04. And my missing angle is 30.96. And that's 39. Okay, 43. A right triangle has a hypotenuse of length of 8. So I'm going to draw me a right triangle. They tell me the hypotenuse is 8, and it tells me one angle is 35. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which one you want to call 35. I'll just call this one 35. And they want me to find the length of each leg. So I'll call this this B, because that's what we've been doing all day, and we'll call this side A. All right, so if I'm going to find A first, I know that they gave me the hypotenuse, and A is adjacent to 35. Adjacent over hypotenuse is cosine. So cosine of 35 degrees equals A over 8. And then again, I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator and get 8 times cosine of 35 degrees equals A. And we'll type that in my calculator. So we've got 8 times cosine of 35 degrees. And that gives me 6.55 as one of my sides. Okay. To find side B, I can use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or I can use a trig function. I'm going to keep going with the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I know that A is 6.55 squared. I don't know B, and I know C is 8 squared. All right, before you can type this one in the calculator, I have to move the 6.55 squared to the other side, which means I have to subtract. So it's 8 squared minus 6.55 squared. I'm going to go type that in, just like we did earlier. So 8 squared minus 6.55 squared. And then I have to remember to take the square root of that, to 21.0975. And we get 4.59. And the other missing side is 8. And that's what they gave me in the problem. 47 is going to work very similar to that. The hypotenuse of a right triangle is 3. I'll just draw my triangle the other way. It says if one leg is 1 foot, find the degree measure of each angle. All right, so they don't even want me to find this missing side over here. They just want me to find what these two angles are in here. So I probably should go ahead and find this missing side. I'll make my life a little easier. So I'm going to do my a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I've got a squared plus 1 squared equals 3 squared. And move that 1 to the other side. So a squared equals 3 squared minus 1 squared. So 3 squared minus 1 squared is 8. And so that means A is going to be equal to the square root of 8, which is 2.83. Okay. All right, so that's one way, that's one thing you can do to start off with. What I want to know is what this angle is here, and we can call that alpha. So in order to find alpha, I know that they gave me the adjacent and a hypotenuse to alpha. Adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. Because I'm looking for an angle, you have to hit second cosine, 1 divided by 3, and we get 70.53. That's one angle. And I could go do this some more trig stuff if I wanted, or I can just remember that all the angles have to add up to 180 degrees. So I already have 90. We just found out that this was 70.53. I'm going to write 180 minus 160.53. And it tells me my missing angle is 19.47. So I found my two missing angles, and I found my missing side. Make sure you don't forget your little degree marks. Okay, so tomorrow when you come to class, I'm going to be asking you to complete the worksheet, and then you're going to turn it in, and we will go over it on Friday. I hope this helps.